Welcome to the 2025 Annual Stockholders Meeting of PAL Holdings, Inc. Today we come together with pride in what we've achieved and excitement for what's ahead. We are steadily outpacing expectations, aiming higher with a bold vision, and reaching for a future full of innovation. This is a key moment for PAL Holdings as we soar toward our goals. With your continued support, we're ready to rise to even greater heights. The meeting is now in session.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I am Lucio C. Tan III, President and Chief Operating Officer of PAL Holdings, Inc. I have been requested by the Chairman, Dr. Lucio C. Tan, to preside over today's meeting. As it is now 2 o'clock in the afternoon, I hereby call the Annual Stockholders Meeting of PAL Holdings, Inc. to order. I would like to welcome all stockholders present at today's meeting. May we request our Corporate Secretary, Attorney Cecilia Pisaico, to explain why we are holding today's meeting by remote communication?
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. As with the previous years, our meeting today is being convened via the Zoom webinar app. For the information of all present, this meeting is being recorded in accordance with the requirement of the Securities and Exchange Commission. Mr. Chairman, before we begin the meeting proper, I would like to acknowledge the directors of the corporation who are present in this meeting. We have with us today Dr. Lucio C. Tan, Mrs. Carmen K. Tan, Mr. Lucio C. Tan III, Ms. Sheila T. Pascual, Mr. Stanley K. Nang, Mr. Katsuya Goto, Mr. Jonip G. Kua, Mr. Jerome S. Tan, and Mr. Ramon D. Dizan, and our Board of Advisor, Mr. Kyle Ellis C. Tan. Also present are the executive officers of the company, Ms. Juanita T. Tanley, Ms. Susan T. Lee, Ms. Ana Isabel V. Bengson, and Ms. Neris G. Garcia, who are all on hand to address any inquiries that may come up at today's meeting.
May we now request our Corporate Secretary to please show proof that stockholders were duly notified of this meeting?
Mr. Chairman, in accordance with Rule 20 of the Securities Regulation Code, and in consonance with the notice of the Securities and Exchange Commission to publicly listed companies dated March 12, 2025, the notice for today's meeting was published in the business section of 2 newspapers of general circulation, the Philippine Star and Business Mirror, in print and online format for 2 consecutive days on May 7 and May 8, 2025. In compliance with the requirement of the SEC, the last day of publication, which was last May 8, 2025, is at least 21 days prior to today's meeting. We have on record the affidavits of publication issued by the Philippine Star and Business Mirror. Also, I would like to confirm that the notice of this meeting, together with the information statement, management report, and financial statements, were posted on the corporation's website and the corporation's PSE EDGE profile. I therefore certify that the stockholders were duly notified of today's meeting.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. The next item in the agenda is the certification of the existence of a quorum. Madam Secretary, do we have a quorum for today's meeting?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, a quorum is present. According to the guidelines that we have circulated to the stockholders, the last day for registration for today's online meeting was on May 19, 2025. Based on our tally of those who successfully registered online and the validated proxies and powers of attorney on hand, present and represented by proxy are at least a majority of the total outstanding shares. I therefore certify as to the existence of a quorum for the valid transaction of business at today's meeting.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Before we proceed, may we request our Corporate Secretary to briefly discuss for the benefit of all those present today, the rules for the conduct of our meeting today and the voting procedure to be observed.
Mr. Chairman, the voting rights of each stockholder and the requirements and procedure for participation and voting through remote communication were provided under Item 19 of the Corporation's Information Statement and the guidelines on Annex B of the Information Statement that we have circulated to the stockholders. For the record, I would like to summarize the meeting protocols and voting procedure to be observed at today's meeting. First, stockholders who have completed the registration procedure on or before May 19, 2025 are allowed to participate in today's meeting and are deemed present for purposes of determining the quorum. Second, stockholders were given until May 27, 2025 to send us via email at webinars@ltg.com.ph their question regarding the items in the agenda. In the interest of time and for the orderly conduct of business, questions received on or before May 27, 2025, which we deem relevant to today's meeting, will be addressed today, while the rest of the questions and those received after the deadline will be responded to by email. Next, the matters submitted for voting at today's meeting are A. Approval of the minutes of the 2024 Annual Stockholders Meeting. B. Approval of the audited financial statement as of December 31, 2024. C. Ratification of all acts, transactions, and resolutions by the Board of Directors and Management since the 2024 Annual Stockholders Meeting. D. Renomination of Mr. John F. G. Kua as Independent Director. E. Election of Directors. And F. Appointment of the External Auditor. Next, we are utilizing voting by proxy form and voting in absentia for this meeting. For this purpose, stockholders were given until May 19, 2025 to accomplish and submit their proxy forms to webinars@ltg.com.ph. Stockholders who have successfully registered and voting in absentia were given until May 22, 2025 to submit their voting ballot form. Validation of proxies and tabulation of votes were completed on May 23, 2025. Lastly, we wish to remind the stockholders that this meeting is being recorded in video and audio format in compliance with the requirements of the Securities and Exchange Commission.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Let us now proceed with the meeting proper. The first item in the agenda is the reading and approval of the minutes of the previous meeting of the stockholders. Our last annual stockholders meeting was held on May 30, 2024. Madam Secretary, were the stockholders apprised of this item in the agenda?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. A summary of the matters approved in the last stockholders meeting is set out under Item 15 of the Information Statement, which was made available to the stockholders. A copy of the minutes of the 2024 Annual Stockholders Meeting was also uploaded in the corporation's website on May 31, 2024. Since the contents of the minutes of the 2024 Stockholders Meeting have been disclosed, it is proposed that we dispense with the reading of the minutes of the 2024 Annual Stockholders Meeting held on May 30, 2024, and approve the minutes as appearing in the corporation's records.
The proposal is noted. Before we tally the votes on this item, may we inquire from the Corporate Secretary whether we received any inquiries on this matter?
Mr. Chairman, there were no questions received online regarding this matter.
Madam Secretary, may we know the tally of votes on this matter?
Mr. Chairman, we have on the screen the tally of votes and validated proxies on this matter. Based on the total votes received, more than a majority of the stockholders of the corporations present at today's meeting approved the minutes of the 2024 Annual Stockholders Meeting held on May 30, 2024.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Based on the report of the Corporate Secretary, The minutes of the 2024 Annual Stockholders Meeting held on May 30, 2024 is hereby approved. Madam Secretary, let the minutes reflect the tally of votes on this matter. Before we move on to the next item in the agenda, our chairman would like to say a few words. 2024 marked a major milestone for PHI, as it was the year when the company began to fully realize the benefits of its earlier restructuring and rehabilitation efforts. Following a period of operational and financial adjustments, the organization experienced improved stability, strengthened core operations, and more consistent performance. The changes implemented in previous years, including cost optimization, organizational streamlining, and strategic repositioning, began to deliver tangible results. PAL increased flights by 5%, improved on-time performance by 2%, and enhanced schedule reliability by 4%. These improvements led to higher customer satisfaction scores of 73% and Net Promoter Scores of 43%, which are among the best results the company has achieved. These outcomes led to a stronger financial footing, renewed stakeholder confidence, and better preparedness for future growth initiatives. As with many in the aviation sector, we faced persistent supply chain disruptions and rising operational costs, global challenges that have continued to impact the airline industry as a whole. At the same time, the extraordinary surge in post-pandemic travel demand began to stabilize, allowing us to gain a clearer perspective on the long-term operating environment. These shifts led us to implement thoughtful and deliberate adjustments designed to strengthen our resilience and agility as we advance our transformation strategy. Despite these headwinds, our unwavering commitment to our people, customers, communities, and environmental responsibility has remained central to everything we do. I am pleased to share that our company closed 2024 with another strong financial performance. Philippine Airlines ended the year with a solid net income of 10.22 billion, achieving a 5% net margin. This accomplishment is especially meaningful given the challenges we and the global industry faced. It also reflects the dedication and hard work of our entire team. I am truly optimistic about the road ahead as we prepare for the arrival of 9 Airbus A350-1000 long-range aircraft and 13 A321neo regional aircraft over the next few years. These new additions to our fleet are on track, with the A350-1000 deliveries set to begin late 2025, reinforcing our commitment to growth and world-class service. Alongside these fleet expansions, we are also working hard to reconfigure our existing A321ceo cabins to ensure a more comfortable and enjoyable experience for our passengers. None of our achievements would have been possible without the unwavering commitment of our people. I want to extend my heartfelt gratitude to everyone, from our management team to every employee across the organization, for working tirelessly to keep our operations running smoothly and for standing together through the good times and the tough ones. As we look ahead, all of us need to remain mindful of the challenges that we continue to face. Staying competitive will require us to manage our costs carefully and adapt to ever-changing circumstances. I encourage everyone to persevere, to keep hope alive, and to approach each day with determination while also maintaining a thoughtful awareness of the risks and obstacles that we may encounter. But I am confident that together we can overcome any challenge and continue to move forward as one. At the very core of PAL's spirit of innovation, service, excellence, and leadership in aviation are our people, the remarkable men and women who bring our mission to life each day. Their extraordinary courage, resilience, and deep love for our company have been the driving force behind every success. Time and again, our teams have shown unwavering belief in what we stand for, rising to every challenge with dedication and heart. I am sincerely grateful to each one of you. Your commitment, whether on the ground or in the air, is what makes PAL truly special and allows us to deliver the kind of service that our passengers have come to know and trust. Thank you, dear friends, for your passion, your perseverance, and your belief in our shared journey. Mabuhay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The next item in the agenda is the report of management for the fiscal year 2024. Philippine Airlines continued its corporate transformation in 2024, achieving a net income of 8.12 billion pesos and a 5% net margin, outperforming the global airline industry average of 3%, as tracked by the International Air Transport Association. PAL invested in new aircraft and maintenance and advanced its digital transformation with new customer management and enterprise platforms, as well as a major upgrade of its digital channels and loyalty program. This is a key strategy for PAL to deliver personalized digital experiences across the customer journey. Building on strong operational gains and a commitment to customer satisfaction, the airline operated 5% more flights, carried 15.6 million passengers, a 6% increase, and launched new routes like Manila-Seattle, Clark-Basco, directly responding to customer demand and supporting tourism growth. PAL's operational movements led to higher on-time performance, schedule reliability, and customer satisfaction scores, which rose to 73%, and Net Promoter Scores, which reached plus 43. We ended 2024 with a series of awards and several service milestones as PAL celebrated its 84th anniversary as Asia's oldest operating airline by marking several service milestones. The airline landed in Cirium's 2024 top 10 list of most punctual airlines in the Asia-Pacific region for the second year in a row, advancing to 7th place in 2024 from 8th place in 2023. Likewise, PAL ranked second among the top 10 travel brands in Southeast Asia in 2024, awarded for exceptional performance in the areas of customer service, purchasing experience, and domestic brand recognition as the preferred airline of choice for Filipino travelers. PAL was named Employer of the Year, Regional Exemplar for the National Capital Region by the People Management Association of the Philippines, recognizing its exemplary people management practices amid its transformation efforts over the past few years. PAL was also recognized as the Best Employer Brand 2024 at the LinkedIn Talent Awards for the Philippines. In addition, PAL was honored as one of the finalists in the Learning Champion Award category, demonstrating the airline's achievements in the learning and development of its workforce of more than 6,000. We remain committed to responsible operations as PAL and its foundation continue to demonstrate a strong commitment to sustainability and community care, balancing operational growth with environmental responsibility and social impact. PAL advanced its net zero by 2050 goal by adopting fuel-saving technologies like SkyBreathe on board, investing in solar power, and transitioning to LED lighting. The airline is likewise actively pursuing sustainable aviation fuel and participates in CORSIA, the International Carbon Offset Scheme, to further reduce its environmental footprint. On the community front, The PAL Foundation provided over 6.6 million pesos in aid to disaster-affected areas, supported farmers and disaster victims, facilitated medical travel for indigent patients, and extended assistance to marginalized groups such as PWDs, war veterans, and the elderly. Collaborative projects were implemented with organizations like the Tanyanki Foundation and the GMA Kapuso Foundation, Advanced Education, Environmental Conservation, and Disaster Response, while employee-driven outreach programs deepen engagements with vulnerable sectors. At the heart of Philippine Airlines' success is a deep commitment to its people, reflected in comprehensive health, wellness, and professional development programs that prioritize employee well-being and growth. In 2024, PAL saw record interest in cabin crew careers, processing over 10,000 applications and planning further recruitment across the country to build a diverse and inclusive team, with pilot recruitment set to open in 2025. The airline maintains a positive workplace through competitive benefits, strong labor relations, and a culture of diversity, equality, and anti-discrimination. Initiatives like We Fly With Her campaign celebrate women in aviation, while leadership and internship programs, as well as the PAL Multiversity, nurture future leaders and promote continuous learning. Rigorous training ensures that flight crew and frontliners meet international standards, while employee engagement is measured through annual surveys, with targeted actions to enhance satisfaction. PAL's robust safety culture is reinforced by ongoing training, safety seminars, and emergency preparedness initiatives, including partnerships with the Philippine Red Cross and regular safety inspections. To boost global competitiveness, Philippine Airlines is preparing for a significant fleet update with the planned delivery of 9 Airbus A350-1000 long-range aircraft and 13 A321neo regional jets over the next few years. PAL is likewise moving forward with a comprehensive retrofit program for its existing A321ceo fleet, featuring new seats, enhanced Wi-Fi, and modern in-flight entertainment systems to provide a more comfortable and connected passenger experience. PAL is also strengthening its competitive edge by expanding non-stop routes and forming new inter-airline partnerships to improve connectivity to global markets and offer customers greater flexibility and access to more destinations. As Philippine Airlines closes 2024, the company firmly stands at the forefront of the nation's aviation industry, driven by a clear vision of responsible growth, operational excellence, and meaningful impact. Despite challenges in the market environment, PAL delivered solid financial results, expanded its network, and maintained high standards of customer service and operational reliability. PAL remains dedicated to connecting people, empowering its workforce, and advancing its sustainability goals. We will continue to serve as the trusted flag carrier and a force for national and global progress. May we now request the Chief Finance Officer, Ms. Susan Cheng Lee, to present the financial results of operations for the year.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to report to you the financial highlights of your company's consolidated financial results for the year ended December 31, 2024. Our external auditors, CCIP Gores Velayo and Company, issued an unqualified opinion on the consolidated financial statements for the said calendar year. For the results of operations, consolidated revenues for the year amounted to 178 billion pesos, a slight decline of 0.6% from 179 billion in 2023. Despite the significant increase in passenger volume by 0.9 million passengers, these were offset, however, by lower load factor by 1.7% and total yield by 3.9 points. consolidated operating expenses increased by 6% from 151 billion pesos in 2023 to 160 billion in 2024, as flights increased by 5.3% from 105,000 flights to 111,000. The major causes of the increase in expenses are the following. Flying operations expenses increased by 7% due to depreciation from newly acquired aircraft, capitalized engine repair costs, and leasehold improvements made in 2024, offset by lower jet fuel costs by 2.7% during the year. Aircraft and traffic servicing expenses increased by 20%, driven by higher landing and takeoff charges, resulting from an increase in number of flights operated and higher rates in Manila, which took effect in October 2024. Passenger service expenses increased by 14% due to the increase in the number of passengers, which resulted in higher passenger food and in-flight provisions. Reservation and sales expenses increased by 25% due to higher global distribution system fees based on the number of bookings and passenger service system fees. As a result, total comprehensive income amounted to 10 billion pesos, 51% lower than 20.5 billion last year. That's coming from a net income of 8.1 billion pesos versus 21.3 billion last year. It is good to note that 2024 marked the fourth consecutive year of profitable operations for the airline. For the statements of financial position, the company's consolidated total assets as of December 31, 2024, amounted to 213 billion pesos, 3% lower than the previous year's 220 billion. This decline was driven mainly by a 25% reduction in total current assets. Lower short-term investments and cash equivalents were due to payments of loans and pre-delivery payments for 9 Airbus 350-1000 aircraft. Improved collections resulted in lower receivables by 5.6 billion pesos. Non-current assets went up by 10% or 14 billion pesos due to the increase in property and equipment driven by the pre-delivery payments, the purchase of landing gear, spare engines, and various capitalized engine repairs. Consolidated total liabilities decreased by 16 billion pesos, mainly due to payment of debt and settlement of long-term obligations. With the continued strong results of PAL, consolidated total equity improved significantly to 43 billion pesos as of December 31, 2024, from 33 billion the previous year. A big turnaround from a deficit of 4.6 billion to a retained earnings position of 2.5 billion as of December 31, 2024. For our current performance, total unaudited comprehensive income for the period ended March 31, 2025 amounted to 4 billion pesos, lower by 22.5% from last year's 5.1 billion. While consolidated revenues went up by 2.5%, total expenses also went up by 8.2%. Passenger revenues increased by 0.5% as a result of increase in number of passengers by 5%, offset by lower yields, while increase in cargo revenues by 6% and ancillary revenues by 24% helped boost our total consolidated revenues. Other income coming from credits issued to PAL by a vendor, a special support compensation for grounded aircraft in prior years, resulted to a higher net income of 2.9% from 4.6 billion last year to 4.7 billion this quarter. The positive results during the quarter further improved the company's retained earnings by 4.4 billion pesos, from 2.5 billion last December to 6.9 billion this quarter. Lastly, on January 27, 2025, the Philippine Stock Exchange approved the change in our listed shares, increasing from 10.5 billion shares to 25.8 billion shares to reflect the issuance of 15.2 billion new common shares. We welcome our new investors in today's meeting as well. On behalf of our major shareholders, directors, officers, and staff of your company, thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Lee. Madam Secretary, were there any inquiries received regarding the management report, which was circulated to the stockholders?
Mr. Chairman, there were no questions submitted online regarding this matter.
Since there are no questions, let us proceed with the approval of the annual report, together with the financial statements of the corporation for the year ended December 31, 2024. You have just heard the President's report and the CFO's report on the results of operations as reflected in the corporation's audited financial statements for the year 2024, annual report, and management report, copies of which were made available to the stockholders via the corporation's website and PSE Edge profile. Madam Secretary, kindly present the proposed resolution for this item and report on the tally of votes for this item in the agenda.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. On the screen is the proposed resolution for this matter. The tally of votes and validated proxies is also on the screen. Based on the total votes received, more than a majority of the stockholders of the corporation present at today's meeting voted in favor of this matter.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. With at least a majority of the stockholders present at today's meeting voting in favor of this matter, the annual report together with the financial statements for the period ending December 31, 2024 is hereby noted and approved. Madam Secretary, let the minutes reflect the tally of votes on this matter. The next item in the agenda is the ratification of all the acts, resolutions, and transactions of the Board of Directors and Management of the corporation from the date of the last annual stockholders meeting up to the present, as reflected in the minutes of the meetings of the Board of Directors. A summary of the acts, resolutions, and transactions of the Board and Management from the last annual stockholders meeting is contained in Annex C of the information statement. The acts, resolutions, and transactions were discussed and approved in the meetings of the Board and its committees and are convened by minutes which are on file with the Office of the Corporate Secretary. These minutes are available for inspection upon the request of any stockholder. Before we tally the votes on this item, will we know from the Corporate Secretary whether we received any inquiries on this matter?
Mr. Chairman, we have not received any question regarding this matter.
Since there are no questions received regarding this matter, Madam Secretary, kindly present the proposed resolution for this item and the tally of votes.
Mr. Chairman, the proposed resolution for this matter is shown on the screen. We have tallied and validated the following votes cast via proxy and remote communication. Based on the total votes received, more than a majority of the stockholders of the corporation present at today's meeting voted in favor of approving all the legal acts, resolutions, and transactions of the Board of Directors and Management of the corporation from the time of the last annual stockholders meeting on May 30, 2024, up to the present date.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. With at least a majority of the stockholders present at today's meeting voting in favor of this matter, the acts, transactions, and resolutions of the Board of Directors and Management from the date of the last annual stockholders meeting up to the present, as reflected in the minutes of the Board of Directors, are hereby approved, confirmed, and ratified. Madam Secretary, let the minutes reflect the tally of votes on this matter. The next item in the agenda is the approval of the renomination of Mr. Jonip G. Kua as Independent Director of the Corporation. May we request the Corporate Secretary to explain this item in the agenda?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Jonip G. Kua has served the maximum cumulative term of 9 years as Independent Director under the Code of Corporate Governance for publicly listed companies. The Code of Corporate Governance, however, allows for extension of the term on meritorious grounds. In the meeting held on March 24, 2025, the Nomination and Compensation Committee has evaluated the eligibility of Mr. Kua vis-a-vis his contributions in the discussions at the meetings of the board. The Nomination and Compensation Committee noted the commendable professional background and vast work experience of Mr. Kua. His valuable advice and impartial judgment have enabled the corporation to quickly adapt to the ever-changing market and business environment. His fresh and objective perspective on various matters has contributed to improving the corporation's strategies and has helped the board in reassessing the corporation's goals and objectives. With that, the committee members unanimously agreed that Mr. Kua's continued participation in board meetings will benefit the corporation in the long term and thus endorsed his renomination as Independent Director for another year.
Before we tally the votes on this item, may we know from the Corporate Secretary whether we received any inquiries on this matter?
Mr. Chairman, we have not received any questions regarding this matter.
Since there are no questions received regarding this matter, Madam Secretary, kindly present the proposed resolution for this item and the tally of votes.
Mr. Chairman, the proposed resolution for this matter is shown on the screen. We have tallied and validated the following votes cast via proxy and remote communication. Based on the total votes received, more than a majority of the stockholders of the corporation present at today's meeting voted in favor of approving the renomination of Mr. Jonip G. Kua as Independent Director for the year 2025 to 2026.
Thank you, Madam Corporate Secretary. With at least the majority of the stockholders present at today's meeting voting in favor of this matter, the renomination of Mr. Jonip G. Kua as Independent Director is hereby approved. Madam Secretary, let the minutes reflect the tally of votes on this matter. The next item in the agenda is the election of directors for the year 2025 to 2026. May we request the Corporate Secretary to report on the nominees for directors for 2025 to 2026?
Mr. Chairman, before we present the nominees for directors for 2025 to 2026, in compliance with the requirements of Section 49 of the Revised Corporation Code, allow me first to present a summary of the compensation of the directors. With that, let me now present the nominees for directors for 2025 to 2026. I am pleased to report that in the meetings held on March 24, 2025 and April 23, 2025, the Nomination and Compensation Committee has approved the nomination of the following 9 individuals as directors of the corporation for the year 2025 to 2026. First, Dr. Lucio C. Tan. Second, Mrs. Carmen K. Tan. Third, Mr. Lucio C. Tan III. Fourth is Ms. Sheila T. Pascual. Fifth is Mr. Kyle Ellis C. Tan. Sixth, Mr. Katsuya Goto. 7, Mr. Jonip G. Kua. 8, Mr. Jerome S. Tan. And 9, Mr. Ramon D. Dizon. I would like to further report that nominated as independent directors are Mr. Jonip G. Kua, Mr. Jerome S. Tan, and Mr. Ramon D. Dizon. The profiles of the nominees are set out in Item 5 of the information statement, while the summary compensation table of the top 4 executive officers, directors, and other officers of the corporation are provided in Item 6 of the information statement. Related party transactions and director self-dealings are discussed under Item 5E of the information statement and Note 17 of the notes of the corporation's consolidated financial statement.
Thank you, Madam Corporate Secretary. Did we receive any questions on the lineup of nominees for the board?
Mr. Chairman, there were no questions submitted online regarding this matter.
May we now hear a report from the Corporate Secretary regarding the votes on this item in the agenda and the proposed resolution on this?
Mr. Chairman, after tallying the ballots and proxies received, which results are currently flashed on the screen. Considering there are only 9 nominees for the current 9 seats in the board, with each of the nominees having received votes in their names, we would like to report that all the nominees are effectively elected as directors of the corporation for the year 2025 to 2026. The proposed resolution regarding this matter is shown on the screen.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. I hereby declare that the 9 nominees are duly elected as directors of the corporation for the year 2025 to 2026. Madam Secretary, let the minutes reflect the tally of votes on this matter. The next item in the agenda is the appointment of the corporation's external auditor. May we request the chairman of the audit committee, Mr. Jonathan G. Kua, to report on the external auditor appointed for 2025 as approved by our audit committee?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good afternoon to all the stockholders present today. By way of a background, I would like to remind our stockholders that the authority to appoint, remove, and replace the external auditor was actually delegated by the stockholders to the Board of Directors at the 2007 Annual Stockholders Meeting. Such delegated authority has not been revoked or withdrawn. In accordance, however, with Recommendation 9.1 of the Code of Corporate Governance for Publicly Listed Corporations, the corporation's Corporate Governance Manual, and the Charter of the Audit and Risk Committee, the external auditor appointed by the Board of Directors upon recommendation of the Audit Committee is now presented to the stockholders for ratification. For the record, I would like to cite the criteria that the committee used in endorsing Sisip Gores Velayo and Company, or SGV and Company, as external auditor. Among others, the committee evaluated the performance of the accounting firm of SGV and Company for the past year and took into account its history of service to the corporation and the knowledge of the industry, its auditing skills, and the quality of its audit work, and of course, the reasonableness of its fees compared to other audit firms of the same size and reputation. On that basis, we have endorsed to the board the reappointment of SGV and Company as external auditor of the corporation for the year 2025. The reappointment of SGV and Company was approved by the Board of Directors last March 26, 2025, and is now being presented for ratification of the stockholders. We have invited the SGV partner in charge of the corporation's account, Mr. Albert R. Bond, to be present at today's meeting to address inquiries, if any.
Thank you, Mr. Kua. May we inquire from the Corporate Secretary whether there were any questions regarding the nominated external auditor?
Mr. Chairman, there were no questions submitted online regarding this matter.
May we request the Corporate Secretary to present the proposed resolution for this item and report on the tally of votes?
Mr. Chairman, the proposed resolution on the appointment of SGV and Company as external auditor of the corporation for the ensuing year is shown on the screen. The tally of votes and validated proxies for this matter is as follows. Based on the total votes received, more than a majority of the stockholders of the corporation present at today's meeting voted in favor of the confirmation of Sisip Gores Velayo and Company, or SGV and Company, as external auditor of the corporation for the year 2025.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. With at least a majority of the stockholders present at today's meeting voting in favor of the matter, the confirmation of the appointment of Sisip Gores Velayo & Co. as external auditor of the corporation for the year 2025 is hereby approved. Madam Secretary, let the minutes reflect the tally of votes on this matter. I believe we have discussed all the items in our agenda. May we inquire from the Corporate Secretary if there are any other questions received from the stockholders?
Mr. Chairman, there were no questions submitted online regarding this matter.
Since we have no other matters to discuss at today's meeting, this meeting is hereby adjourned. Thank you to all the stockholders who have taken the time to attend the meeting today.